In a game built on passion, few players embody the spirit of football quite like John McGinn. From the streets of Clydebank to the roar of Villa Park, his journey has been one of grit and graft. A leader, a warrior, and a firm fan favourite for both Villa and Scotland.
Oh, what a strike from McGinn! A quite magnificent finish from distance.
His rise wasn't instant, it was built step by step. Through setbacks and comebacks from St Mirren's to Scotland's midfield engine and onto the heart of Aston Villa's revival, McGinn's story is not just about football. It's about belief, desire and determination.
McGinn!
Before the bright lights of Villa Park, there was the beginning. A young lad with a fierce love for the game, chasing every ball in the parks of Glasgow. It was at St Mirren and Hibernian where that raw energy began to take shape, where McGinn's tenacity first caught the eye. From his debut as a teenager to his rise through the Scottish leagues, these were the years that built the foundation that would define his career.
Oh, that was a big sit on it. So I started at St Mirren, which is a club based in Paisley in Scotland. I was from just over the water in Clydebank, so used to get to training from the age of 7. I was there. My 2 brothers have played there as well, so it's a club very, very close to our heart.
Earliest memory of meeting John McGinn was probably at the pie stall at Celtic Park. Me and John used to have season tickets quite close to each other.
Robbo was in section FS1 with his family, and I was in section FS2, so we used to argue on the pitch. We used to argue back on the pitch. He was a good player. We
always played youth football against each other, so we've known each other since we're probably about 9 or 10. We always used to bump into each other, so I always used to meet him at half time at Celtic games every second week, so that'll be the earliest memory I have of him.
Little did I know back then we would end up really close friends, and best buddies at Scotland.
I used to be a central midfielder. I know that's a bit baffling to think about, but we always used to have a battle in the midfield. I used to get the upper hand, which of course John will argue, but yeah, it always used to be fun playing against him. When we got slightly older, I was at Queen's Park and I played with John's brother Paul. So the McGinns have been part of my family for pretty much my whole life. So yeah, like there was always a buzz about John. Then when he broke into St Mirren's first team, I think he then just kept going and going, and there was always, within Scotland, there was always a high potential for him, and everyone wanted to see him in a Scotland shirt.
I had obviously just been injured with the pole incident, which was spoken about a few times. A massive training ground accident. Stopped a couple of moves down to England. I had to reassess. Actually at the time I was out of contract, they were due compensation, no one would pay the compensation. I then went back to St Mirren and their contract was off the table, which was a bit of a hammer blow, probably the lowest point of my career, especially at that time, so I had absolutely nowhere to go. Phoned Owen Coyle, who was at Houston Dynamo, and I went to train there for 10 days. Agreed to sign for Houston Dynamo, but that fell through due to some red tape. So I came back and Hibs came in. I nearly went to Dundee United in the top division, but then after I'd agreed to sign there, they just turned their phone off somehow. So I thought I was going to Dundee United. They didn't call for a couple of days, and then I went to Hibs with Alan Stubbs, and that was an amazing part of my life. I had to move at Mum and Dad's house into a flat in Edinburgh. Met some friends for life there. I absolutely loved my time there, and we managed to get some success. So we achieved winning the Scottish Cup for the first time in 114 years, and that is a a memory I'll never forget. So very grateful to everyone, both at St Mirren and at Hibs.
As John's game grew, so did the respect he earned, not just for his skill on the pitch, but for the way he carried himself off it. It was a small, quiet act, one that might have gone unnoticed by most, but caught the attention of Scotland manager Gordon Strachan.
I went to stay in a hotel called Mar Hall, which the first team used at the time. And the under-21s we got to train there. I spoke to the coaches the Sunday. I said, I'll watch his training for a week. So the first training session was meant to be Monday morning. So I was waiting on Monday morning. I got a call from the sports science there to say there's a couple of them they're training, but they'll put it back to 3 o'clock because some of them had stiffness. You can't make it up. So then I waited for them at 3 o'clock and then the team bus arrived. Then I seen a lot of players getting off with their headphones, as they do these days. And then they all went to the training facility, which was about 400 yards down a path. But I seen the physio struggling with all sorts of gear, and I seen the kit manager struggling with gear, picking up mannequins and bottles of water. And the only player that stopped and gave these two a hand was John McGinn. And I thought, next time we have a squad, there's an opportunity, he's going to be in it. Because I knew then that he was a good teammate. I watched the rest of them all walking down there, but John had about 6 mannequins and walking down. So I thought, yeah, he's decent as a bloke. And I was proved to be right.
It's probably a credit to John and John's family, his mum and dad, the people that have brought him up. They've brought him up the right way. I know when he was a youngster, he was at St Mirren Football Club, which is where I had my grounding. Good people at that club as well. I'm sure they brought him up the right way.
That's when I've got to be grateful to the coaches at St Mirren, Big David Longwell, Fraser Robertson, and all the coaches at St Mirren through the years. Obviously they've got away now from playing younger players in the first team, but there was always a reputation through the years of being an amazing youth academy, but not only for the players they managed to produce, but for the people. And we had our jobs, whether to go and train with the first team, we had to pump up the balls, let them down, move the goals, all jobs that made us humble and stay down to earth. And luckily now I get the silver spoon it and everything gets done for us, but back then I didn't have any idea that would have an influence in me getting called up, which was nice to hear.
In March 2016, John McGinn received his first call-up to the Scotland national team for their 1-0 win over Denmark, a game in which he was named man of the match, a moment John would never forget.
It was surreal because there hadn't been many players in the Scottish second division, the Scottish Championship, to get called up with the national team, but never thought at all that that would be in the Scotland squad. And I remember it was actually just before the League Cup final with Hibs. We were in Marbella for a pre-season training camp and Alan Stubbs pulled me and said, "Oh, by the way, you've been called up to Scotland." So couldn't wait to tell my dad, told mum and dad and brothers and sisters, and told them that I'd been called up for Scotland. And I think they thought, "Hey, good one, under 21s," but it was actually the A squad. And I'll never forget Gordon Strachan putting his faith in me at the time when a lot of people actually laughed at him.
Well, the first time I seen him would be at Celtic Park. He was playing for St Mirren. He was playing left of a 3 up front, and I watched the game and I thought, yeah, you're happy here. There were 65,000 people. He was up against it with St Mirren. It was a good Celtic side. But I thought, yeah, you're comfortable here. You didn't have an arrogance, but you had a way about you that felt, yeah, I can play here. If I play really well, I'm okay here. Which I thought, that was good, because some of his teammates were just hoping they would join the party. But John burst into the party. And I suppose that's a kind of metaphor for John's lifestyle, to be honest with him. When John comes in a room, he bursts on the scene. And he did his best that day, and not only technically he was good, but physically he could compete with the strong Celtic players.
I'll never forget the criticism he got for it, so for him to put the faith in me It was amazing. Then we turned up to the training and he read his team out. And I'll never forget it. It was it went along the lines of Maloney, Brown, McGinn, Ritchie, and I was just like, oh, he just said my name there. So my first camp, first game, I was starting, so I was absolutely bricking it. And he said, you Mark Eriksson. So it was obviously Christian Eriksen at the time, who played against many times now, but I was a bit scared, but thankfully managed to get man of the match. And from there, every single cap and experience for my country feels exactly the same and just as proud as the first.
In the summer of 2018, John McGinn took the biggest step in his career so far. In what was very nearly a move to Celtic Park, John decided to move across the border. A move to Aston Villa. It was a new challenge, a new league, and a new chapter. Everything he had learned in Scotland would now be put to the test in a Villa side desperate for a return to Premier League football.
What was the main attraction for you, would you say?
I think mainly the one that got it for me was when I went to sit in the stand at Villa Park, and I could picture myself playing there. Well, I knew about the stadium. I knew it because it was one of my favourites in FIFA, but I didn't know an awful lot about the history. I just knew they were a massive club in England, and I was so flattered that they would be interested in signing me. So when I came down, I was a little bit apprehensive. Obviously moving away from home, there was a lot of speculation at the time. So the effort, and I think at the time there wasn't a sporting director, so Sharon Barnhurst, the secretary here, was actually doing the transfers alongside Steve Bruce. So full credit to them. They were unbelievable, and I'll never forget them bringing me to the club. And thankfully, Nassef and Wes, I was their second ever signing, and what a journey we've been on together. So the first impressions were when I came to Bodymill Heath and went to Villa Park was wow, and all I could picture was me turning out as an Aston Villa player wearing that number 7 jersey, but never did I think it would be for more than 7 or 8 years.
You got to remember that he's had knockbacks a lot. When he was leaving St Mirren, there wasn't a rush for anybody to pick him up on a free transfer. I remember saying to my wife, I wished I had the ability to buy him and then sell him on to a club, because I was convinced, I kept telling people in England, it wasn't the Premier League, it was people under the Championship and First Division, this guy will be a good player and he will make you money. Nobody will listen to me. I think it was Steve Bruce that signed him, wasn't it? Yeah, because I remember Brucey asked me about him. I went, you can't go wrong.
I spoke to him all like we all do back in the day. You try and get as much information as you possibly can, and everybody was off the same hymn sheet that this kid was going to be a good player. You know, he's got all the attributes. You know, and when you watch John, you only have to watch him once live to understand him, what he's all about.
Good play by McGinn. He's gone a long, long way. Brilliant play. Home fans are loving that. And he's won the corner. That's terrific. That really is from John McGinn.
It's no surprise to me that he's gone on to captain Aston Villa, captain his country, because as soon as you watch him play, he's got all the traits that any good player needs. He's aggressive, can shoot, can tackle, can pass it, and as I said, a great, wonderful attitude towards it. So we decided to invite him down to the Belfry, and I knew his father was a big golfer, so we got him playing golf, and basically sat down with his mum and dad and said that, you know, he's ready to come and play in England, and thankfully he agreed. But Dermot Desmond, the owner of Celtic, every time I see him and I bump into him, he gives me a dig. And he won't forget us nicking John McGinn off him.
Not going to lie, and when I grew up in the garden, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, even up until I was even 17, 18, all I could picture was playing for Celtic. I never dreamed in the garden about being an Aston Villa player.
Well, there was the problem. We had to wrestle Celtic because his grandfather was the chairman, I believe, of Celtic. And of course, £2.5 million doesn't seem like a lot of money these days. To Aston Villa back then, it certainly was. And could we get the money together? Could we finance it with maybe selling somebody else. And of course, can we beat off Celtic, which was always going to be difficult.
So it was tough. It was tough at the time because I had my heart set on Celtic, but obviously through different circumstances it was probably the wrong time. Probably caught in between some politics and stuff like that, but it was difficult. It was really difficult. Obviously, you don't carry that dream just yourself. You carry your mates' dreams and your family's dreams about doing that. But I think the way Aston Villa looked after me and made it clear from the first minute I was their priority, and the fact it got done so quickly just meant it felt the right place for me. And thankfully now here I feel at home, and obviously everything happens for a reason.
It's funny actually, because my first impression of him, he signed, and I remember this guy walking through the front of the reception at Bodymore, and when he tells it, it's funny, but he had like these horrendous jeans on. I'm sure he had white K-Swiss on, I think.
I remember that's as scared I think as I've ever been, walking into the gym, seeing Wheelo and Alan Hutton and Jack and Chesney, all really good mates of mine, Connor, Mealy, all of them laughing tails at my outfit. I think I had G-Star jeans on and Stan Smith's. I think it was Stan Smith's. He still says K-Swiss to this day.
And I was thinking, oh, who is this fella, you know? And then, yeah, the rest was history with him from that moment. Well, actually, there was probably one more moment until me and him became like really, really close.
My first impression of Jack was Ipswich away, our first away game. We shared rooms at the time.
And we didn't really know each other, hadn't really spoken to each other too much, and I was thinking, nah, who is this guy here that I'm getting put with?
And me and Jack got roomed together, and found out a wee bit after that he made the analysts swap rooms, so Scotty de Linforth is still here.
It got written in a group chat saying that, you know, there's a few more rooms, if you want to change rooms you can. And I was just straight away, I says, yeah, I'm out.
He went into Sal's room, and they had to add an extra room on because he didn't want to room with me.
And I left the room, and then yeah, I left him on his own actually that night. So he always tells everyone as well that story about how I just left him on one of his first away trips.
After that, we clicked and became best mates, and what an absolute privilege it was to play with him.
And Grealish is in again, and this could be 7. History made. Jack Grealish scores goals 6 and 7.
Just an unbelievable guy, unbelievable player, and a brilliant captain.
McGinn's ball forward. Grealish is onside here.
When we were in the championship together, it was like two boys just playing in the park and enjoying our football. So we used to have long days at the training ground here, doing a bit of gym in the sauna, and we just clicked since then. Even now, he'll message me every game with a claret love heart, saying all the best. Still calls me fatty, just as a bit of banter, but seeing what he's achieved in his career has been absolutely amazing. But the time we had at Aston Villa was certainly a highlight, and very fortunate to have met him.
I remember his first game at Villa Park. I think it was it against Wigan, or I'm sure it was against Wigan.
I remember his debut, and within 5-10 minutes he became a favourite of the supporters. I think he crashed into a tackle.
He was just running around, yeah, like a lunatic.
I remember crashing into a tackle very early on in front of the North Stand and getting a bit of a cheer.
All action, and very quickly, I think within 15 minutes, a crowd favourite straight away. You know, I don't think I've seen anybody win over a crowd so quick.
And from there, the day just went brilliantly. I remember setting Chesney up for a goal, and we scored a last-minute winner. So loved my first game at Villa Park, and I remember my granda, who's sadly no with us now. He was down at the game. My family were there, so it was a special day. And from that first minute, I was on the pitch. It just felt at home and somewhere I could see myself loving football.
John McGinn has had many memorable goals in an Aston Villa shirt, but arguably none more so than on September the 22nd, 2018 against Sheffield Wednesday at Villa Park. A strike that will go down as one of the greatest goals in Aston Villa history.
Don't do it, John. Don't do it. You haven't got that in the locker.
And it comes to McGinn. Oh, what a goal!
The feeling of that going in for my first Villa goal, I don't think I'll ever score a goal like that ever again.
It was unbelievable. I just remember, the ball just landing to him on the edge of the box, and he struck this sidewinder, and it's probably the hardest technique to do, as a volley or just in general, and it was just the way, it just was everything about it was just so perfect.
We all said pull it down and pass it, but he's decided to that volley. Who could ever forget that when you're in the stadium that day? Great goal. Arguably, probably the best goal he's ever scored.
It is. Got a bone to pick with the EFL actually. We had an important playoff game or fixture in the league, and they had assured me that I was winning the goal of the season. So me and my partner, suited and booted, down to London. Couldn't drink because it was close to a game, so sat there sober all night, and turns out the goal of the season, even though I was nominated for it, it was voted on the night. So I'm looking around the room and everyone's absolutely steaming, and you could tell they had no interest in voting for the goal of the season. So anyway, I thought, they'll sort it out. So it says EFL goal of the season, and I've put my chair back, Ruben Neves. So that was a good laugh. So Tommy got that stinking that night. No, but it was a special day. I had a lot of family at the game. I was actually having my worst game for Villa. I had started my Villa career pretty well. I remember being up against with Barry Bannon, who was a Scotland teammate of mine at the time, brilliant guy. Obviously was very good for Villa as well. That game, he got the better of me completely, and he was rubbing it in. He's saying, McGinn, you're miles off it, and winding me up, just having a bit of banter, and thankfully I managed to shin one in off the bar.
In his first season at Aston Villa, John McGinn quickly made his presence felt.
Malassi's cross is a really good one, and nodded in by McGinn.
Consistently strong performances in midfield earned him recognition from teammates, fans and the club alike, culminating in being named Aston Villa's Player of the Season. It was a clear sign that he was not just part of the team, he was a player who could make a real difference.
McGinn will take it on. John McGinn! McGinn! Oh, John McGinn!
He was one of my trusted lieutenants on the pitch, and I became close to him. We've got two lion statues in the garden, and the one on the right is John McGinn, and the one on the left is Jack Grealish.
That whole season, I think he was incredible. I think he was our main player that year, and definitely I think he did get Player of the Year as well. I think he was incredible, played in most of the games.
He scored some wonderful goals. I remember the 2 goals he scored at Nottingham Forest, and obviously the winner at Wembley as well. He brings goals to his games as well.
I think the 10-game winning run, combined with getting into the playoffs, the way we managed to get to Wembley, it was just such a special season, and what an honour it was to be voted by such a brilliant group of players. It was a surreal night for me. To get voted by your teammates is probably the greatest award you can get in football, and then obviously the supporters onto that, so it couldn't have been better for me. When I joined, I just wanted to try and make some sort of impact, so to make the impact that I have made is something I could only dream about, but at the same time it doesn't really matter what's behind us. If I could swap them for promotion, I would every day of the week. We had an amazing dressing room at the time, even players that weren't playing as much at the time, Henry, Micah Richards, they were all so supportive of me and helped me settle in. But big shout out to Alan Hutton and his wife Kylie, who helped me settle in so well in the first year. Kylie's mum, Janie, used to cook food for us on a Sunday when me and Alan used to go a wander, come back in for a steak pie. But even wee things like that helped me settle in, helped me feel at home and just a kind of friendly voice and voices. And it's nice to see Alan from time to time report on Villa.
The 2018-19 season had brought highs and lows, but it all came down to one game. The Championship playoff final at Wembley. A chance to return Aston Villa to the Premier League. For John McGinn, it was the biggest stage of his career so far and an opportunity to show exactly what he could bring to the team when it mattered most. It was a high-pressure game with everything on the line.
Here's Adoma. Abraham pointing the way in the middle. El Mohammadi's on hand here. Well, the battle on, and in! El Ghazi arrives! And closing in on half-time, the breakthrough comes for Aston Villa. El Ghazi. Oh, and it's going to go in! It's going to go in from John McGinn, and Villa in complete command.
He took a bit of a gamble running into the penalty box, and he didn't know too much about it. I remember more about his celebration because he attempted to do a slide and the pitch was too dry for the slide and he nearly ripped his knee ligaments. But yeah, he'd been pivotal in that run. They got us to the playoffs and that actually gone and won the playoffs as well. And man of the match performance at Wembley for Aston Villa to get you to the Premier League, it won't be forgotten, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was massive because obviously, you know, it's all what we needed so bad. It was all what we wanted so bad. And yeah, for him to get the winner, I think he made it 2-0 it was, and then they got one back.
Oh, and in! It's him again! Jack Marriott!
So it was obviously, you know, something that was so important, a goal that was so important. And yeah, one of the greatest days, you know, of my footballing career for sure, and of my life, you know. Captaining Villa, you know, back to the Premier League was a special moment, and I have, yeah, him to thank for that.
That's it! The fallen giants are back on their feet. Aston Villa, one of the great clubs in English football, return to the elite.
It's hard, I'm speechless, honestly, I really am. It was such a hard game, you know, against a great team. We knew it was going to go down to the wire. But like I said in my last 10 interviews, when I look around and I've got John McGinn around me, I've got Tammy, I've got Anwar, I feel like we can beat anyone, and I can't even explain to you how happy I am. And this guy, I just want to say, since he's been here, he's been absolutely unbelievable. He's such a popular figure in the dressing room, off the pitch, and I think he gets so much credit off the fans, and we can all see why.
We deserve it, to be honest. We didn't turn up last 15 minutes, but it was a tough game against Derby, but thankfully, full credit to the referee. Half the referees in the league would have given that as a foul and he let it go, so I'm glad the goal stood, and over the moon to be a Premier League player.
Just that season was surreal, even just the end of it, becoming a Premier League player. What a party we had.
I said yesterday to the lads on the training pitch how thankful we are for how you embrace training, how hard you've worked. Okay? So from me, from my coaching staff, a big thank you, and each one of you has contributed to this. Okay? And you deserve it. So have a good night. Well done, every single one of you. Well done, boys.
Yeah.